Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Damn, they released a third game in a year. And not only that, but made an end to a trilogy in less than 2 years. What the heck? And they even released another spin-off game while waiting for this game. You hear that, Bethesda? A trilogy in a span of less than 2 years. What have you been doing? But anyway, let's begin. Let's just get the gameplay out of the way, and I have to say I'm quite pleasantly surprised by the minigames here. I mean, yes, the majority of the game is just speaking dialogue, but they do sprinkle in minigames which I won't spoil, but it is a welcome change. Most of the minigames require thinking, and the outcome of those minigames do impact the outcome of the story. This is genuinely a right direction for this genre. It didn't feel monotonous, and we do have quick time events here and there, so if you are fully expecting an easygoing game, I'm here to say that it's not the case. I was caught off guard, like seriously, there are some minigames where I had to retry a lot due to me being a dumbass, but each chapter has a unique minigame that keeps things interesting, so you have that to look forward to. Let's talk about the production quality. Honestly, they really went up to 11 in the quality, as there are one-shot scenes where I'm like, okay, that's impressive. The action scenes and fighting choreography in some chapters look believable. And the locations, my gosh, every chapter takes place in a completely different location. Like, that is impressive. No wonder it cost twice than the previous two. The variety of location made it so that you are not familiar or give any sense of comfort as the story progresses. But where they miss is the subtitles department. Some scenes, although very few, are jumbled up or sometimes even in the wrong language. Some scenes straight up has no subtitle. Others have timestamps littered all over the screen, and some goes back to the Mandarin subtitle. Sadly, I had to use the ChatGPT to listen and translate the scene because I have no idea what they're talking about. Let's talk story. I think they strike a balance between Surveillance and their previous games in terms of difficulty in achieving certain outcomes. Like, Surveillance was on the other spectrum of difficulty, as they don't allow you to backtrack your decision to get a particular scene while also not giving you any hint, forcing you to read a guide, while also translating that guide from Chinese to English using Google Translate, which adds another layer of difficulty to understand. You know how Google Translate is. This game has take that specificity to get different outcomes while also not too vague and like take into account the smallest decision like in Surveillance, and they don't tell you. But it's not as clear cut as the other dating games, where you can get most if not all scenes by just speaking different dialogue without any issues. Another quality of life improvements is that they give you hints on how to get the scene after you reach the ending, making subsequent playthroughs so much more bearable and achievable, while also making it accessible for everyone. It also forces us to think on how to achieve that ending, plus labeling the scenes with hearts so that you can calculate beforehand how many hearts to achieve different endings. And I feel like this is a few games where if your favor is not enough for some characters, it massively shifts the story, and not only, oh, you get the bad ending, better luck next time, but actually shows you the consequences of your action, which is the whole point of this genre of games. Now I want to talk about the story. Looking back at the series, it started like Steins Gate, where you just send text messages to the past and then the present changes, exactly like Steins Gate the anime. The second game also does something similar, and I don't know how the heck he survived that, because I think they made an inconsistency, as suddenly in this game it requires huge amount of energy to operate. So how in the hell did he get that much amount of electricity back in 1940s? But anyway, I'm surprised by the small nods and details to the previous games, and kind of closes the arc in previous ways that I did not expect, but also explaining some things lazily in my opinion. I'm a bit disappointed that you kind of don't really need to play the previous two games to really understand this game, because the intro recap scene sums it up quite well, so basically it's not really connected. And they like to use the same actors, so I don't know how they're gonna explain that they have the same exact face from the previous game, but it's a completely different person and personality. And this is not really a spoiler, but you remember the previous game has Century's promise in the title? Well, Cillian is alive so that she could achieve that promise, but there's a rogue family member, and that's the premise of this entire game. I was amused that the villain of this game is a woman, and I agree with the casting because she has a similar character, with the only difference is that she's evil here. The way she acts in Charming Hearts always gave me the vibe that she's hiding something from us while doing all the good things for us. So I was like, yeah, she fits the role. And they added more male characters in this game, so they kind of listened to my feedback.
Remember guys, staying the Lulu is the Solulu.
And I'm gonna say that there are a lot of plot twists here that I was like, damn, I did not see that coming. But another thing that I want to complain, and I can't believe I'm bringing this from the previous game as well, and it's even worse now as there's relation with the main protagonist as the previous does not. Okay, here's the real kicker. Why is a teenager a love interest in this game? Alright, let me explain. Since you're stuck in the past for 10 years, that young girl you met in the first scene is an actual love interest. To be fair, the 10-year gap makes her an adult, I hope. Why can we date our great-granddaughter? Yes, you heard that right. Great-granddaughter. That's like 3 generations down. You got it because you have your daughter, your granddaughter, great-granddaughter. So you went missing for 90 years due to the time machine, and she considers you great-grandfather, and she's a teenager when you meet her. She looks like what, 15, 16? And then there's a 5-year time jump in one of the chapters, and she suddenly became a completely different person that is like what, 20 or 21 if you are being generous. You are like what, 40? Bro, are you kidding me? Can someone check the producer's laptop? Because this is sus as heck. And why is the favor starting from a teenager? At least there's no dirty scenes involved with her character, unlike other adult character at least. There's that, but still weird. Can you imagine like spending a few chapters protecting her, guiding her, leading her, giving her advice, and then suddenly the time jump happens and then she's an adult now, and then for some reason she's fighting for your affection as well? That's like so weird. Even from me, it's like you already saw her when she's like young. Making her an adult doesn't change that relationship. Doesn't change the chemistry. This doesn't change the dynamics of that relationship, you know? I'm still weirded out. With that out of the way, what do I think of this game? I enjoyed it far better than expected. It's not too dark like Surveillance, where you forgot it's a dating game, but it's not a fantasy land like others where things are just given in a silver platter. So yes, I recommend this game. The rate at which they improve upon is exponential. So yeah, go support them. Yes, this is more expensive, but I totally think it's worth it. Thank you for watching, and as for the next video, I don't know yet.